You're listening to Independent TV7. As it is, straight to the headlines. I'll say ECOWAS, Economic Committee of West African States, responds to coups d'etat as a means of unconstitutional change in Niger, Burkina Faso, Mali, and Guinea. Now to the streets. Well, now this is a reaction to the unfortunate coup d'etat, which truncated the existence of a democratically elected government in yet another West African country. Niger Republic on July 26, 2023. It is also an attempt at providing possible exploration of ways and means of returning the situation to constitutionality by the de facto authority in Niger Republic. Now, the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, did define clearly now its grounds for intervention, establishing that it would respond to humanitarian disasters, the threat to peace and security for the sub-region, and disorder occurring after threats to a democratically elected government. Furthermore, these positions are rooted in the October 1999 Framework for Peace Operations, the protocol relating to the mechanism for conflict prevention, management, resolution, peacekeeping, and security. Now, the main organs supporting its peace and security responsibilities are the Mediation and Security Council (MSC) and Executive Secretariat. Now, the MSC is composed of the heads of state and or the foreign ministers from ECOWAS member states. Now, in the portfolio, as far as the MSC is concerned, are several supporting mechanisms in the form of committees and also the Defense and Security Commission's DSC, which is the Council of Elders, and the ECOWAS Ceasefire Monitoring Group, ECOMOG. Now, it is necessary to reflect more on the role of ECOMOG, as ECOWAS is being questioned on the authenticity of the standby force and its legality. It will be recalled that in 2004, ECOWAS announced its decision to create rapidly deployable standby capacity through ECOMOG. Now, the protocol identifies ECOMOG as its military component to be based on a standby arrangement involving the use of a national contingencies. These contingencies are expected to be marked, trained, and equipped in advance of deployment and prepared for such deployment at short notice. Now, in addition to this end, the Defense and Security Commissions approved the concept of a 6,500 strong force with three parts: 1,500 rapidly deployable troops, followed by a brigade of 3,500 troops for more prolonged missions, and 1,500 troops in reserve. Well, deployment is also subjected to operational requirements and procedures of the force. And an evaluation of equipment and logistics capabilities of member states through such exercises as the contingent owned equipment CEO evaluation. However, there is a challenge here that the infrastructure needed for logistics depot in the sub-region is in Mali, which is on the other side of the divide, as the latter is in support of push-list. In other words, the ECOWAS standby force is in place and the size has since been doubled to 12,500 troops and can be activated within the rules of subsidiarity, which it requires the authorization of the Peace and Security Council of the African Union in accordance with Art 53 of the United Nations Charter, which is the agreement and treaty. Basically, in this regard, it should be noted that to activate the standby force, a minimum of 6 weeks is needed for it to be effectively deployed as it is. In a nutshell, what this is talking about how the democracy started. From those that want to share their comments, and under the United Nations, we are still under ECOWAS, Economic Community of West African States. We are under AU, African Union. World Health Organization has been combined. I would say that's what gave us a bilateral relationship between those people, so that we can do either trade by barter or otherwise. Now, which is eventually the stage of final deployment is avoided, we should also realize that such negotiation can sometimes be painfully slow, which is the issued at the second ECOWAS summit of 10th August 2023, which did not contradict itself as effort. Wow, the analysis, which is part of the precluding state responsibility, to furthermore a critical analysis 2004, the member of state of the Economic Community of West African States (ECOWAS) gave their consent to the organization taking enforcement action on their territories by ratifying a protocol. Thus, since all members of ECOWAS have consented taking enforcement action on their territories, such enforcement actions arguably do not breach international law. In effect, collective security in this respect even allows member states action to intervene through a standby force arrangement without resource to their parliament to undertake such action, although this may be controversial. It should also be necessary to point to the effectiveness of economic sanctions, including the no-fly zone measure. It must be said that a no-fly zone measures is not a humanitarian measure as it was claimed against the Libyan regime. Thus, it does not require the degrading of Niger's air assets. The measure in this instance is to put economic pressure on the regime and not to destroy assets. In fact, the regime also aided inadvertently ECOWAS' position by imposing a no-fly zone in the territory. Overall, it is expected that this and other sanctions will bite the regime into submission. Well, if their submission does not hold water, still there is no agreement. Well, in practical terms, what does military intervention mean? Within the concept of the standby force arrangement, in its execution, there are 6 scenarios, and the last scenario is military intervention by way of the standby force arrangement, which is the 6 scenarios, which are the follows: provision of advice to a political observer mission co-deployed with AU slash UN mission. Standby alone observer mission peacekeeping for the chapter and preventive deployment. Peacekeeping for force complex multi-dimensional peacekeeping mission with low level. Then ECOMOG intervention, terrorism and unconstitutional changes through coup d'etat. However, following the December 22 pronouncement of ECOWAS, which signifies its absolute anathema to coup d'etat, and which considers coups in whatever form as a threat to collective security. Well, intervention here is simply put, denotes the use of overwhelming force. Collective security measures are actions or authorized by the United Nations Security Council on behalf of the international community to enforce. In a nutshell, this is where we're going to draw the curtain, but I would like you to share your views in the comment section concerning what we have here. Basically, what this is talking about is just because of the bilateral relationship Nigeria have with ECOWAS, World Health Organization, international organization, all over the universe. Well, in your own submission, I believe we'll get what is called a result. Well, this is my time. Have a nice day. God bless.